The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer, the sports talk, and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinski as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Yankees Hype Week continues on this 24th day of October, the night before before it all gets going. Today's show is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all their great articles and great podcasts, such as No Credential Required podcast, where my friends of the show, I watch their show every Saturday morning, and then their whatever reincarnations on Mondays and Tuesdays, depending when the Jets and the Giants and everybody else wins or not, which doesn't happen very often. The new hockey show going on as well, which I listened to earlier this week. It's very, it's something that should have been done a long time ago. But very, very thanks for the guys, Ryan and Dustin, to come from the No Credential Required podcast. How you guys doing today to talk about some Yankees baseball?
Yeah, let's as the show says, title says, let's get into it.
There we go. I tell you what, kind of a nice relaxing week. The ALCS got done on Saturday night. It was 10. I think it was around 10 o'clock my time out in Alberta, around midnight or whatever it was out where you guys are. And but it was man, oh man, were you two doing the Soto shuffle a little bit when that ball left the ballpark in the 10th inning on Saturday night?
I mean, I was, and I said to Ryan on our show at the beginning of the season, I think it was opening weekend, because he had that big, he had the walk-off hit or something to get the Yankees over the Astros. And I said to Ryan, I said, we got to sign him right now, extend him.
Yeah, he had that put out that basically walk-off against the Astros in that 4-game sweep to start the season. And he kind of had a feeling that this was going to be a special season. And it's turned out to be as such, all the way up to the playoffs. I admittedly was kind of worried about the playoffs, but with the 3 big hitters coming up big, one of them being Juan Soto, as soon as he hit that ball out of the ballpark, I said, blank check, just whatever his asking price is, give it to him, and like an extra, and add a bonus to it.
And then have about $50 million in a briefcase somewhere, just hidden over here, that maybe across the street, the old Yankees at the stadium at home place. There's a present across the street for you.
Yeah, the legend of Babe Ruth's gold.
Yeah, it's been quite the playoff. They haven't done it easily, and like Dustin, you and I were talking off air. Like, I'm a realistic Yankee fan. Yankee fans always find a way to complain about something. We never think that they're going to be good enough. And throughout the season, we had reasons to complain. But let's not complain. Let's stay positive here with the Yankees and what they've got going on. They're 4 wins away because of just Soto, but this team is doing something a little bit special right now. And you can kind of reminisce the last time they're in the playoffs, about in 2009. They got a couple of pitchers, and I'm not the biggest Rodon guy, but Rodon's kind of been the AJ Burnett-esque in the playoffs a little bit. And then you obviously have Cole playing the role of CC Sabathia. Where's your Dust? We'll start with you. Where's your comparison to that 2009 team that won? So let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's still 4 more wins to go. But do you see some kind of a comparison with this incarnation of the 2009 Yankees or 2024 Yankees compared to that 2009 team?
Well, I kind of do, because you laid it out so well, mentioning the pitching staff. You got the people. You got Cole, who's been phenomenal in these playoffs, and he's shown why he's still the ace. And then I think that's an apt comparison to AJ Burnett, because when Burnett was on, he was as dominant as anybody. It just, he wasn't always on. But I also see parallels. That 2009 lineup had spots that even if certain hitters went cold, it always seemed like other hitters would heat up at the right moment to balance it out. And over the last few seasons, as a Yankee fan, I've gotten frustrated. I mean, what was it, a couple of years ago, where they were incredibly hot, and then after the All-Star break, their hitting just died, and they were awful. And so I'm always waiting for that to happen, but it seems that this lineup has enough to weather that kind of storm. Now, obviously, we have our issues with Clay Holmes. Try not to be negative, but we were spoiled with perhaps the greatest closer of all time for a long time. And it's hard to come back to earth. I never thought I would be yearning for a Aroldis Chapman back in the closer role, but sometimes Clay Holmes makes you do that.
Right?
Yeah, I have to agree with Dustin here. And Carlos Rodon has had a great series against Cleveland. He was lights out in game one. Had 9 strikeouts in game one. Basically held the Indians in check, or sorry, the Guardians in check.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's really, really fine. Yeah.
He called Cleveland in check, and he did the same thing in game 5. He did relatively the same thing. He allowed those 2 runs, but the Yankees got them back. And then the 10th inning had that bomb shot by Soto, and then you had the different guys coming up at big times. Tommy Kahnle came up big in game 5 to close things out. He'd been hurt most of the year. Same thing with Cole. He had been hurt most of the year. And now I feel like he's hitting his stride. The first 3 he was out for the first 4 months of the season, 3 months of the season. And he struggled at the gate. Don't forget, Cole struggled at the gate when he came back. But it takes a while after injury to get things warmed up, his arm warmed up, his pitching warmed up, and he's hitting his stride at the right time. So you got different guys stepping up at the right time too on the batting side. Giancarlo Stanton, for as much grief as Yankees fans give him during the regular season, he was the ALCS MVP. Who saw that coming? No, none of us. None of us really did.
I said before this season started, I was ranting and raving about the Yankees. I don't know what their record was. They were probably 8-2, and I was mad about something. I don't know how Yankee fans are. And I said, this team will never win as long as Stanton's on. As long as they're paying this guy, he's a detriment, striking out all the time, not making contact. Yeah, he hits a long ball, but then you get into these situations, like even the playoffs in years gone by where they haven't won, obviously, but he's been real good. And you forget about that. I mean, this guy, if he keeps rolling the way he is, he might find it. Like if the Yankees can pull this one off, he's slowly etching his way to getting himself a monument out there in Monument Park if they can pull this one off, because his stats, his numbers are unbelievable. And like if legends, you can put up all the stats you want. Like we'll talk about Aaron Judge in a second, but like Judge has been an unbelievable regular season guy. But Stanton, if they can pull this one off, and if he can hit 2 or 3 home runs that are of some kind of substance, and he hits very well at Dodger Stadium, this guy might find himself, I don't know about a Hall of Fame, but a place in Monument Park isn't too far out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. And also, Yankee fans, we could be very hard on players, but we love certain players. I mean, so many people still remember Shane Spencer for that run that he went on, and he never really did anything after that. But people like to talk about over the fencer Shane Spencer. Everybody remembers that little run, and so I mean, we could be very fickle, but with the way Stanton has come alive, I think you're right. He could play his way into Monument Park. And the thing is, we forget he had a lot of health issues. He had, he had some things over the years, but when he was with the Marlins, this guy, he was unbelievable. And it just, injuries started to stack up over the years, and he just started struggling with strikeouts, and we forgot how good he can be.
The Yankees, they have a definite shot, and be like that home run, obviously, with that Soto hit the other night, is going to be etched in stone for quite some time. But people because it was such a great moment, obviously. But people you look on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it this weekend.
I still call it Twitter.
I still do too. X is you shouldn't. Yeah, X-ray or whatever. But people forget about that error right before that allowed the Yankees actually for Soto to come up to bat, and it's those kind of moments that things don't go your way, and ground ball that should have been an out to end the inning, and then all of a sudden, oh, here's our chance, and they took advantage of it. And championship teams, they find a way to take advantage of those opportunities. And Ryan, was that moment like, oh, you know what, they got something going on here, and they could finish this thing off right then?
Yeah, that was the break they needed to break the tie. You're exactly right. That double play that should have been a double play got dropped by the infielder. It saved the inning. It saved the at bat for Soto to come up big, and he was hunting Hunter Gaddis that entire at bat. He was fighting off pitches. He was waiting on pitches, and when he got his right pitch, he knocked it out of the park. And it's kind of like those past series that we've seen the Yankees back in the 90s when they had their dynasty, the 2009 team where you had guys come up big out. Remember when A-Rod had that big play in the ALCS, got that big out, and which saved game 5 for the Yankees and went on to win game 6. It's like that saying. It's like that saying goes: big time players show up in big time games. Juan Soto showed up. He was that big time player who showed up in the big time game, got the Yankees to the World Series. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to continue to see. I mean, Aaron Judge finally woke up in the playoffs in the series against Cleveland. One guy I would like to see wake up is Anthony Volpe. I'd like to see his bat wake up. He's been good on the base paths. He's been decent in the outfield, but I would like to see his bat wake up against the Dodgers. It's very possible he could do that.
He's a real good player, and there's no reason why it can. You're going to get the Judge home run, and he's going to hit a few. Hopefully, you're going to get that. But it's like you said, the Shane Spencer's of the world to get you that base knock once in a while, and there's all of a sudden it's the unsung heroes. A guy that's really got to get going. And I'll ask you, Dustin, a guy that flaps his gums a little bit too much for my liking. If he was producing, I wouldn't care. But the trade line acquisition of Jazz Chisholm Jr. he's been pretty good defensively, but he's got to start doing something because it's almost an automatic out with old Jazzy there.
Yeah. I mean, his defensive prowess cannot be overstated, and I do think he is a very young and talented player, but he came from an offensive wasteland on the Marlins. That Marlins team, they weren't getting any runs, and it seems like he's kind of brought some of that mentality over the Yankees. He can't get it going, and in order for the series, I think him warming up would be a huge advantage for us throughout the series, because there's no denying his talent, and if he can stay healthy too, because he's dealt a little bit with the injury bug, to start his career here, but I was very happy when they acquired him, and I said, "Oh man, this could help us offensively." But so far, he's been a detriment. He's got to get going for sure.
The Yankees in their long illustrious history, I'm not a big one to talk about 27 championships because they have them. Obviously, like the Montreal Canadiens have 143. I think what their fan base wants to tell you how many they've won. We know there were 16, but then back when the Yankees were winning a whole bunch, you were the American champion, you went to the World Series, and you best of 7, that was it. So I'm not a big 27 championship guy, but the ones in the 90s were huge. Ryan, we'll start with you. Do you got a playoff? I think I put this out on Twitter a while ago and you answered it. What's your favorite playoff memory of Yankee days gone by?
Yeah, you had asked that question on Twitter, and I answered it. And I think it's the most underrated playoff moment for the Yankees in history. Is Game 5 of the 1996 World Series, when you had 2 men on and 2 out. You got Wetland at the mound. You got a former Yankee facing you at the plate in Luis Polonia. Chipper Jones is at first. Ryan Klesko's at first. And Polonia's fighting off pitches. Polonia's doing his thing. He hits one. And it looks like if it was any other outfield, if O'Neill wasn't getting on his horse like he did, that was a gapper that at least ties the game. Klesko goes to second. Klesko goes to third. Polonia goes to second. Game winning run is on base. But Paul O'Neill, he still had, and don't forget, Paul O'Neill had a bad hamstring in that game. He was fighting a bad hamstring injury, and you just see him take off. By the way, one of the most underrated right fielders in all of baseball history, by the way. Just clarify that.
I love him.
But you just see him just take a beat. He knows where he's going. He's going to the right. He's going to right center. And you just see him catch the ball, go to the wall at old Fulton County Stadium, smack that wall with his left hand, and go celebrate with his teammates. Yankees win 1-0. They go to win Game 6 in the Bronx. And that broke the title drought. The last title was in 1978. And then 18 years later, they won the world's first World Series since. But that playoff, that memory just sticks in my mind as by that time I was let me see, it was 1996. I just turned 19. So I was barely alive for 77 and 78. So I have no memories of that. But this was the first true playoff memory that I have of this team. And that particular play in general just stands out in my mind because that was the game that sealed Game 5, led to the Game 6 victory, and led up to that, and it sparked that dynasty. That was the moment in my mind. And that always sticks out in my mind.
A lot of people forget the Yankees got blown out those first 2 games. I'm surprised that George didn't fire Torrey after those first 2 games in the World Series the way George was back then. That was a great memory for sure. Dustin, you got one?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I kind of chose 2 because I wasn't sure where Ryan was going to go. But I'll go with my first one since nobody's mentioned it yet. And I think for me, part of this one was a time and place one because I was in college during this. And it's the 2003 Aaron Boone pinch hit home run. And people forget how bad he was. When the Yankees acquired him, he was mired in a slump. And I remember, and I swear, I know I sound like one of these, dude, I called it guys. But I was in a dorm room and it was Red Sox fans and Yankee fans. And Aaron Boone's coming up to the plate and the Yankee fans in the room are like, why are you pinch hitting this guy? And I just turned to them and I said, hey, he's due. Kind of as like a joke. I was like, hey, he's due. Then, of course, he hits the home run. And then, of course, if I'm remembering right, that was also the game where Grady Little left Pedro in too long.
Yep.
And it allowed them to come back. So, I mean, that was just an amazing game. And I remember like hugging someone I didn't even like because we were so like overjoyed, and also it was pretty sweet to have a couple Red Sox fans in the room that were beside themselves. So that's seared into my brain. But I got to give honorable mention to the Scott Brocious 2001 home run, Game 5. That was because of everything that had happened, in September. Everybody knows the date. That was to me, that was one of the last memories of the true Yankee Stadium magic, the old Yankee Stadium magic. And I have to say, been to the new Yankee Stadium with Ryan. We've watched a couple of games there. It does not compare. It doesn't have the same gravitas for me.
Yeah, you remember that we'll talk about that Boone home run first, but yeah, like you said, you were hugging someone you didn't really like. Nothing brings 2 people together like the hatred of a third, right? So people don't like the Red Sox. You can your enemies all of a sudden your friends. Somebody hates the Red Sox, so that works. And then the Brocious home run, just how they came back the night before, and it was night after night, and then the Jeter, all of it. It was just so crazy, and you just had a feeling they were going to play. And that still to me, the greatest World Series I've ever seen, even though the Yankees ended up losing that one, like you said, because of the tragedy of 9/11 and everything else. But just the way that was all playing out, and even there was I got a couple of buddies who they don't like the Yankees. I don't want to say, they hate the Yankees, but they said years later that they were cheering for the Yankees to win that one. And you remember when that was all said and done, you look, they panned the dugout, and most of the guys were leaving, and Joe Torre was just sitting in the dugout. And you kind of got the feeling, I mean, I obviously never talked to the guy about this, but you kind of got the feeling he thinks like maybe he let America down a little bit by them not pulling that off. Just the way that was all playing out and everything. That was That was an awesome World Series. Obviously the Mr. November, and like you talk about the Tino Martinez home run the game before, like just all of that was just such a great week. And then how the Yankees always pull together. And you talk about, I didn't get a chance to go to the old place. I went to the new place a few times, and I remember Jeter. You talked about the Aaron Boone home run, the 2003 one. Jeter was saying to Boone, like, don't worry, the ghosts are like the ghosts will come out. Don't worry about it. We got this. We're good. And the ghosts haven't come across the street a whole bunch since 2009. And you wonder if it's going to happen this year. Let's get back to the Soto / Boone comparison, because without like Aaron Boone probably wouldn't be the Yankees manager if Mike Mussina didn't come out and save Roger Clemens hide in that 2003 Game 7. We wouldn't know who Aaron Boone was really.
Or Mo Rivera. And Mo Rivera
we had
4 innings.
3 or 4 innings, whatever it was. The thing that's remarkable, like it was a great Yankee moment, but they didn't win. They ended up losing in the World Series. Is the Soto home run going to have the same thing if the Yankees don't win this one? Is that Soto home run going to have the same pull that the Boone did? Because the Boone, the way the game played out in the ALCS, and it was the Red Sox. Ryan, we'll go with you first. If the Yankees don't pull this off, is the Soto home run just going to be a home run because it was against Cleveland and not Boston, and the way it Game 7 compared to Game 5? If the Yankees win, it'll be huge. But will this one just get pushed in the back burner a little bit? Yeah, it's a great moment, but it didn't mean anything.
Well, if there's one thing that'll happen, it'll make Juan Soto a very rich man. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But in the annals of Yankee history, if they don't win the World Series, then yeah, it's just another playoff home run. If they win the World Series, then absolutely put a monument in Monument Park, sign this guy to a lifetime deal. He'll be a lifetime Yankee. But they have to win the World Series in order for it to be a legendary home run. Otherwise, it's just another playoff home run.
Yeah. Dustin?
Yeah, I have to agree with my illustrious podcast brother over here. It's because of who they were playing at the time, and also the Boone comparisons, because it was against the Red Sox. It's so easy to make the Bucky Dent comparison. I was not around for the Bucky Dent home run, obviously, but my dad would tell me stories about it, and he would say Bucky bleeping Dent. He loved it. So we have Aaron bleeping Boone, but I think because this was against the Guardians and it wasn't their hated rival, I think it kind of brings the level down. If the Yankees do not win, this home run will kind of get forgotten. Yankee fans will remember it, but the baseball world at large won't remember this one. We'll just remember that Soto's a great player, but I don't think it quite has the gravitas simply because of the opponent. And also at the time, the Yankees and Red Sox were competing for the AL East like yearly at that time. So it just ratcheted up more, in my opinion.
I obviously you want the Yankees to like that in the next year, 2004, when they came. I hate talking about this.
Yeah, no, I know.
You got to bring it down. You got to
stop making documentaries about it, please.
And I really wish the Yankees would have kept that streak going forever, because it was fun. Like you're like, you're not going to win. You're not. You're not like you're not going to win. Like, and now that like that rivalry just isn't there anymore because of it's. I mean, they call it the greatest rivalry. It's not. It's really not. That's the Jets versus the world. But it's you go to it was.
You're right.
Yeah, I had to get that shot in. I really had to. One
everybody else's, you might as well too.
We'll talk about that in a little bit here, but yeah, it's the Yankees have had a lot of great players over the years, a lot of great playoff moments, and I had you guys thinking a little bit. I said Mattingly, but none of the core 4 guys. Who's your favorite Yankee of all time that's not named Don Mattingly? Because that one's easy. Who's not named one of the core 4 guys? Who's your guy? If you had to go and buy a jersey, what number would be on the back? No names, obviously, no names, but. Which people get mad about that when you go to a Yankee. If you want to pay the extra $10 for name on it, go ahead, man. I don't care. But who's your guy there, Ryan? Who's your guy that's not one of those 2 guys I just named, or 5 guys, I guess?
Well, I'll give you 2, and one's a legacy, and one's a guy who I watched. So, because I wasn't alive when Yogi Berra was playing,
Yeah.
and I played catcher in Little League, so I've always appreciated the catcher position because he's the field general. He's the guy who controls the infield, and for the legacy pick, it's Yogi Berra. Won all those titles, was part of all those teams, was the backbone of the infield for all those Yankees teams in the 50s and the 60s, was manager in the 80s. Didn't really get a fair shot because of how Steinbrenner controlled that team up until he got way up until he went to Club Fed for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
I think that saved the franchise.
Probably.
But that's my legacy pick. But for guys who I watched who are not of the core four or Don Mattingly, the aforementioned Paul O'Neill. That guy was a pit bull. Absolute pit bull at bat, in the field. He had passion. He cared. He gave a damn in every at bat, every play in the infield and in the outfield. Like I said, one of the greatest right fielders, period, of our era. I can give you an instance of why. I saw the Yankees play the Montreal Expos. Yes, the Montreal Expos back in 2002, and the Yankees were winning. They were winning handily, and at this point it's fait accompli. Yankees are going to win this game, but Paul O'Neill is still hustling out in the outfield. He made this outstanding sliding catch in foul territory with, I think, 1 out and a man on base because he cared. He cared, and he'll be reflected. It's reflected in his color commentary too on Yes Network. He's a guy who loves the game, cares about the game, wants this game to grow. So it's Yogi Berra and Paul O'Neill as my favorite players, not named Jeter or Bernie Williams. Although Bernie Williams is a hell of a guitar player, I will say it that way.
Oh man, Bernie was good.
Jorge Posada, Mo Rivera, Andy Pettitte.
Yeah,
those two guys.
The thing about O'Neill, like you talk about his broadcast, and like I'm around baseball a lot now, and it's somehow became a career of mine. But you watch guys play now; they don't compete because of this is another podcast for another day. But how young athletes, they play for themselves a lot because they play travel baseball and so they're for themselves. They're not playing for a team. It's a lot different how young athletes compete compared to what they used to. And like you used to play for your hometown Little League team, like you said, and it was just like you wanted to win for your buddies and for your teammates. And now kids playing so many different teams now, they don't compete the same way. Yeah, they play hard for themselves, but not for. Whereas O'Neill played for, like, no matter where he ended up playing and whoever was on the field, he played for the team. You know, he was. They called him Warrior for a reason, right? And
I don't know if you remember the day that trade happened when they traded Roberto Kelly to the Reds for Paul O'Neill. Yankees fans hated that trade. Everyone in the media, fans, they hated that trade. And then what happened? Look what happened afterwards.
All the good stuff.
Roberto Kelly is just kind of a dust in the wind, but Paul O'Neill is a legend. He's in Monument Park. That's why he's my favorite. That's why he was one of my favorites.
Yeah, geez, he was good. Dustin, who do you got?
All right, I had a couple weird ones because I didn't go with a legacy pick like Ryan did, but I started thinking, I'm like, who did I really like? Who did I really like back when I was like, the Yankees were my everything and I was watching every game? And the answer surprised myself, but I wore his jersey. I repped it. Chuck Knobloch, okay? Chuck Knobloch. I loved.
He was a great twin. I don't know about a great Yankee, but whatever.
Well, early when they got him, when they first acquired him, he was a great leadoff man for about the first 2 years of that deal. And I think it was more of, I liked him because he felt relatable, because I am what you call vertically challenged, okay? Knobloch, not exactly the tallest guy. He had one of the weirdest swings you'll ever see in your life. It's like, how does this guy hit, let alone lead off?
No, you mentioned, yeah.
And this was the stamp, like the
lightsaber.
It was ridiculous. But there was something about him. And then, of course, it became very hard to root for him once he had the problem where he couldn't throw from second base anymore. But I thought about it and I said, man, I just really liked him. When I was younger, I really related to Knobloch. I don't know why. because I have more memories associated with Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams, all those guys. But people forget Knobloch for about the first year or two of that deal. He was a good table setter for that team, and he could hit a little bit. He might have been on some PEDs, but a lot of people back then were. But I must have a thing for number 11 too, because one of my favorite Yankees who I love the way he played was Brett Gardner. After after all of that, Brett Gardner, he wasn't the best hitter, but he had a lot of speed, and he was always a threat. Mm-hmm. He was always a threat on the base path, and he reminded me of. It's apt that we were talking about Paul O'Neill, because Gardner was the last person that I remember that had that passion to play, and he was always going to hustle, and he was going to try to get it done. So those are two number 11s that I liked. And then for my most Yankee that I wanted to be a thing was Phil Hughes. I thought Phil Hughes was going to be the next ace. I wished he was. I was always like, this is the year Hughes is going to put it together. It's going to be amazing. And it never happened.
Yeah, Knobloch is who? It was Keith Olbermann's mom that he hit.
Yes,
right. Was it Olbermann's mom?
I
forgot about
it. Was Olbermann's mom when he had a bad case of yips? He threw it over the dugout.
I secretly wish it was
of all the people to hit. You hit a broadcaster's mom who a million people, anybody but. I mean, you shouldn't hit anybody with a baseball, but it's Olbermann's mom. Like, oh man, like just bad.
Well, maybe if we like crystal ball and look to see in the future what Keith Olbermann would be now, you kind of wished it was Keith Olbermann. He was.
Yeah, that's a thing too. Yeah,
and maybe I have a soft spot for him. Maybe I have a soft spot for him because at my first Yankee game that I went to in 1999, they were playing the Mariners, and they got absolutely destroyed because Ken Griffey hit like 2 home runs that day. The Yankees lost like 13-2. It was not a good game, but one of my favorite memories is before the game, I was leaning over the rail. You got those Yankee Trails bus seats. And for anybody that's gone on the Yankee Trails trip, they always put you in like right field. But before the game, the players are out there, they're warming up. And I leaned over and I screamed as loud as I could. I said, "Hey, Nobby." And he gave me a little like salute. Yeah. So,
right to you. There it is. What was like, I know, like I said earlier, I never got to go to the old place. What was it like? What was it like?
Cramped.
I mean, what did you say, Ryan?
Cramped.
It was. And it was a little scary going up those steps, and the bathrooms, you didn't want to go in there. Okay. You did not want to go in there, but I can't describe it other than it had a mystique. Like they talk about the ghosts, and you could look at that first base path and you could be like, Babe Ruth ran down this path. It was all it was just, yeah. I remember walking through the doors, walking through the entrance, and my uncle who took me to my first game, my uncle and aunt, and they were the ones, they said, close your eyes because we want you to see like what it looks like when you walk through. And I walked through and I just remember opening my eyes and being swept. To me, more than any live sport, hockey's about the action. Hockey's my favorite sport to watch live because there's so much to keep track of. Baseball's about the atmosphere. And the old Yankee Stadium, to me, the old Yankee Stadium had it in spades. The new one, and I hate to throw this word around, but it just feels like too corporatized, too sterile. I don't know how to describe it, but it doesn't have the same feeling. To me, you could walk into that stadium and just feel the heaviness and feel the magic, and it's why I want to go to Wrigley Field and the aforementioned Fenway Park. As much as I think
I've been to both, and it's something. Like it's actually unreal. Like the thing about the old place that you see videos and stuff. Like I said, I've never been there, but walking down the corridors and all of a sudden it's the greenest grass you'd ever see in the middle of the concrete jungle, right? And like it's and every baseball field has that, but like when you can walk in like those old places, you can't see anything. What's gonna fall on me? And then like, yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's crazy, those old parks. And like the atmosphere is the thing. Like you go to the new place. For me, a lot of the fun is the neighborhood surrounding it, right? It's the Bronx isn't the nicest place, but like that's baseball to me. The atmosphere of Yankee Stadium outside the ballpark is because one of my favorite my favorite Yankee Stadium memories is actually in 2000. Well, I think it was 14. It was they weren't doing anything, and the Yankees were playing Boston. Boston had already clinched, and it was the end of the season, and it was raining. They had to get the game and end of the season. So whatever. And then fifth inning, I said, "To heck with this." It was pouring. I said, "I'm gonna go across the street." I went to the actual Yankee Tavern there and having a couple of beers, and all of a sudden, and the Yankees were getting blown out, and they chipped away, and the place was full because it was raining in the ballpark. And I said to the bartender, "Jesus, if Teixeira turns into one here, the Yankees are going to pull this off." Sure enough, grand slam to win the game. The place went bananas. So actually, my favorite Yankee Stadium memory, I wasn't even in Yankee Stadium. I was across the street. So it's one of those things. But yeah, it's a great neighborhood. I think they got a real shot. But we won't get predictions yet. Question for you guys: to win the World Series, the Yankees must what? Ryan?
Win one of the first 2 games in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
plain and simple. Win one at Dodger Stadium. You're home for the next 3. You can win 3 there. You win in 5 games. You win on home soil. You get a parade in the Canyon of Heroes. That's all you gotta do. Just win one in Dodger Stadium in Chavez Ravine. That's all you gotta do.
Especially with the big horse on the mound tomorrow night. Right, that's the kicker. You probably have him game 1, 4, and all hands on deck game 7 kind of deal if it goes that far. Dustin, what do you think about that? To win the World Series, the Yankees must what?
They must pitch well. Based on our conversation in the green room before the show, you know how I feel about Yankee pitching. I'm never sure about it, especially when you have Carlos Rondon being on the run that he's been on. He's got to keep that up. He's got to keep that up because the Dodgers invariably, even though their pitching staff has not been great to start during the playoffs, I could see Walker Buehler getting hot all of a sudden and shutting the Yankees down for a game. So to me, the Yankees have to win the first 2 with their supposed aces going. They got to win, and the bullpen. It's got to do its job. It's got to shut down games and close out. But for me, it's always come down to pitching because for one, on the Dodgers side of things, I don't want them to win, but we have to worry about Shohei Ohtani. We have to worry about a team that scored, I think, the most runs in all of baseball, second to the Diamondbacks. So it's they got to pitch well. They got to pitch well.
That's the thing, and you hate to, man. It's Ohtani's World Series to win, and we'll get in predictions after we take a little break here. But Ohtani scares me. I'm not gonna lie, he scares me a lot. He's real good, and he's hitting video game numbers 800 or something stupid with runners in scoring position right now. That's just unheard of, even in video games. He
is a video game.
He is. And who knows if they get into the game 6, game 7? Who knows? Because he was pitching off the mound of the bullpen a few weeks back. Yeah, is he going to come out and throw an inning or 2? You just never know. It's going to be it's insane. No, the Yankees baseball, and the thing I like about up here where I am, I'm not a whole bunch further north than you guys are, but up where I am, baseball it takes a back seat, especially when the Jays are out. But when the Yankees are playing, people pay attention. Because, like I said earlier on, nothing brings 2 people together like the hatred of a third. And it's one of those things. The Yankees are involved, so there's more people watching. I was talking to Aaron from Bruliana Sports last night. Is this World Series good for baseball? Yankees, Dodgers?
I think so, yeah.
Yep, it is. It is.
Because last year you had the Rangers and the Diamondbacks and nobody cared. You have people complaining this year that it's they spent the most money. Well, you know what? You didn't like last year, and now you don't like this year. So go ahead, right?
If you don't like the teams that are in the World Series, beat them. Beat them. You should have beat them. Cleveland, Kansas City.
Well, I learned
come on.
I'm getting old, so I don't learn much anymore. I'm getting more stubborn. But I learned this week that the Cleveland Guardians. You same way, Ryan? Yeah, same. I knew that, and I didn't really know that. But I did learn this week that the Cleveland Guardians owner He's one of the 5 or 6 richest guys in America. So go out and spend $40 million, get yourself a pitcher.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all these teams, and I don't want to get into the negativity. We're trying to be positive Yankee fans this week, but all these owners and fan bases complain. These owners all have money. Every single one of them have dough to go out and grab a guy for $40 million.
Yeah.
Because you'll put more people in the stadium and make more money. I don't think it's hard.
No,
the NFL does it. They make their teams worse and charge more money.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any team in general. I'm just
yeah.
Say it, Brent. Say it.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, if you beat them.
Yeah.
Beat them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think you've aptly pointed it out. So to answer your original question, in my opinion, these are 2 storied franchises. People hate them because they've had a history of being good for a long time. And both of them have had their droughts, but that's why people are hating on this. They're like, oh, it's New York and it's LA, blah, blah, blah. But this has the feel of Lakers Celtics for the NBA Finals. Guess what? A lot of people like to watch the NBA Finals when it's Lakers Celtics or these older rivalries or the big market teams. It is a fact. The Yankees Dodgers will get more people watching. And I think your second point about all these owners have money, but you can tell which owners would rather they buy the team as a toy to say that they have, but they're not really in it. They don't want to compete. And you can tell which cities are like that. And some of them will plead the small market case, but it's not the case for every team. And you could say, different example, but you could say what you want about a Steve Ballmer or a Mark Cuban. Those guys want to win. They will spend the money. Steve Ballmer will not, obviously the Clippers, they haven't made the best decisions. Whoever was medically cleared Kawhi's knees needs to re-examine things. But that was the thing all those years. The Orioles would be like, oh, we can't compete because the Yankees and the Red Sox are just going to outspend us. You guys had money. The Angelos just didn't want to do anything.
No, they didn't. I'll cite 2 examples from this season of how owners don't want to spend money. The Pittsburgh Pirates and the Oakland A's.
Yep.
Pittsburgh Pirates, they were in the wild card conversation at the trade before the trade deadline. They were one of the hottest teams in baseball right before the trade deadline. And I said to myself, you know what? If they get a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to come over to from Toronto, because Toronto's were sellers at that time. If you get a guy like him to bat for you and put you in the bat and put him at cleanup, you got yourself a wild card spot. But ownership wouldn't spend the money. And when we saw the example of Rowdy Tellez getting cut because
that's unbelievable for $250 grand.
Because he almost met his bonus for at bats for the year.
That's podcaster money. $250 grand. Here you go.
I'll take that podcaster money.
I don't know where that podcast money is, but whatever.
Yeah. So they're two. So they got money. You got money. Spend it. The same with the Oakland A's with John Fisher being worth over $1 billion as the guy who was the heir of the founder of the Gap. He's got all that money. You could have built this. You could have put in half for a new stadium in Oakland. Instead, you screwed the entire city. One of 3 teams to leave that city. The Raiders, the Warriors, and now the A's. Now you're playing in the minor league ballpark for 2 seasons while a new stadium is being built in that
well,
furnace known as Las Vegas.
It came out today that he's looking for investors.
Oh God!
Yeah. He's looking for people to buy in for like $500 million to be a part. Oh yeah,
other people to foot the bill. Yeah.
So like that Tropicana site was originally. We'll get into predictions in half a second, but that Tropicana site originally, Vegas said, "Oh no, we don't pay for stuff. You do. Like we have the center. You're paying for it. You like we're the business. It's a franchise. You're coming into our mall." Is what he's saying. So then it might go to the real place, and they're like, no, man, you're paying for this, not us.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They might end up back in Oakland. Like that.
That would be hilarious.
That would be. Gosh. That would be because I do feel
it's
for
too
the
bad.
fans.
I mean, it's too bad hurricanes happen all the time, but it's too bad that hurricane couldn't have happened somewhere closer to Oakland, where the Tampa Rays would have played in Oakland this year instead. Like it would have been just. And baseball, we'll talk about this another day when the season's over.
This is why I need to be commissioner in 2030, Brent. All right,
yeah,
I've got a platform. I know I can't run. I know I can't run for the position. I'm not a lawyer, nothing like that. But I've got a platform. I will be commissioner.
Ryan, you got 6 years.
How baseball trips on itself on a daily basis, not even weekly or monthly, daily.
They CFL themselves. That's what they do. The Canadian Football League themselves. That's what they do.
Well, I'm a CFL guy.
That's another topic for the day.
Another day. But anyways, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how we're just some third-rate podcast guys, second-rate podcast guys. We have all the problems solved in the world. It's unbelievable. Like it's not hard. It's not hard.
Hey, nobody may listen, but we got ideas and we're good podcasters. We know what we're talking about.
All right, we'll get to prediction right after this ad from our friends over there at Righteous Felon Jerky.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky.
There it is, our friends over Righteous Felon Jerky, longtime supporters of the Belly Up Media Network and Belly Up Sports. Get yourself some Righteous Felon Jerky. I can't buy it in Canada. I have to get it mailed.
What?
It's
so lame.
There must be some free trade thing, Trudeau, or I don't know what the heck's going on there, but whatever. Go to righteousfelon.com and get yourself the best in craft jerky and get 15% off using promo code belly up at checkout. I've had some, I'm only about an hour and a half from Montana, so we go down there quite a bit. So I find the stores there, and it's fantastic. It's we smuggle some across the border, don't pay duty on it, just to get the man.
Mum's the word. Mum's the word.
Yeah, no one's outside of the border anyways. I don't know anyways. Whatever. Boys, the nerves are starting to pick up. I'm not gonna lie. Now that we've been talking Yankee baseball and having some laughs and hoping for the next generation of Yankee fans, the next generation to have some memories like we did, and maybe something special is going to happen the next week and a half, I guess. And then it's over. There could be 4 games left. There could be 7 games left. Who knows? But it's prediction time. What do you, Ryan? We'll start with you. What do you got? How many games and how come?
I got Yankees in 6. I think their bullpen's been outstanding without a couple of hiccups. I'll say this: there's been a couple of hiccups.
That kid's been unbelievable.
Even with the hiccups, they recover the next game. It happened against Kansas City. It happened in Game 3 against Cleveland. We saw what happened after that. So I think the pitching is better. Their hitting is timely. They'll get runs when they need runs, whether it be from Stanton, whether it be from Soto, or from someone else in the lineup. Gleyber Torres has been. We keep forgetting about Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, he's been getting on base.
He's another guy we give crap. He's another guy we give all sorts of crap to in the regular season, but come postseason time, it's Gleyber Day every day. So
I love him.
I love their depth. I love their bullpen. So give me Yankees in 6.
The thing with Torres is he gets a really bad rap because there was a guy who used to play second base for the Yankees that didn't like hustling a whole bunch either in Cano. Like he did, but I think with Cano just was so smooth and so effortless. That's why he looked like he wasn't putting big effort in. And I think Gleyber's the same way a little bit. Like his defense isn't as good, but it's a comparable kind of player. And you forget that Gleyber's been around since that trade that sent Chapman to the Cubs, and then back and forth that one went, and then that's a lot. So that's 9 years ago. All of a sudden, holy Christ, you guys are getting old.
We are.
Yeah, you are, Brent.
I know. I turned 50 this year, so I know. I'm well aware. The bones are aching a little bit more than they used to. Just a couple years ago.
I'm not too far behind at 47. So
you ain't going to catch up though anytime soon. The way that kind of works. But
I'm in trouble then because I'm only 41 and I already have a random pain in my hip that I don't know what it is.
It's weird how that all pans out. Dustin, who you got and how come and how many?
Well, Ryan kind of stole my thunder, but I also, and this is more wishful thinking than a prediction, but the first thing that jumped out to me was Yankees in 6, and it's because the Dodgers pitching is licking their wounds a little bit. They're coming in. Jack Flaherty was amazing for Detroit, but since he's gone over to the Dodgers, he hasn't really lit it up. And they acquired Kopech. He's been a little up and down. So with the way things are going right now, I think the Yankees have the edge in. I mean, I almost don't even want to say it because I almost picked the Dodgers as a joke for a reverse jinx, the power of the reverse jinx. But I really think the Yankees can do this. And I think it's because they're hitting. Ryan hit the key word. It's been timely. It's been timely hitting. And it's not like one of those years where they're hitting and they're on fire and then all of a sudden they just stop. They've kind of kept it going a little bit. They slumped early in the season with the hitting, but so hopefully we've gotten that out of the way. So now the timely hitting, I think, is going to be the key. And Ohtani can't do everything. He can't do everything, and I hope we don't see him pitching.
No, I'm getting just talking this last 2 minutes now. I'm getting all revved up for tomorrow night. We're just over 24 hours away from the opening pitch and everything else. This World Series, it's going to transcend baseball. I think it's going to be huge. The stars will be out on both sides of the country, and I think it's going to be fantastic. It's the first time since 1981. Man, the Yankees are so good. The Dodgers are so good, but the Dodgers they haven't done it. And I don't see why they would this year. Yeah, they added Ohtani, obviously. But how many years have they been to the playoffs? How many years have they won the West? And on it goes. Yeah, they have that 3/4 or 5/8 World Series back in 2020, whatever you want to call it with the COVID, however, whatever you want to say with how that turned out. But they just don't get it done. And like you're both saying, I don't trust their pitching a whole bunch. And I think our ace is the ace in the sleeve. I think Cole going maybe 1, 4, and 7. If it does go 7, all hands on deck. I think the Yankees pitching is going to be okay with that. And you still have Judge and you still have Stanton and Torres. If the Yankees, I think if tomorrow night could set the tone for the entire series, because that's one thing the Yankees haven't done well is score early. They've been putting guys on. Torres gets on base almost seems to like every game to lead the game off. If the Yankees can put up a crooked number early tomorrow, that could be all that Cole needs to get that win. And go back to what you said, Ryan. The Yankees could win this series. They win one in LA, and I think tomorrow night's the night that they can actually get this thing done. So I'm going to go with you guys and say Yankees in 6. Hopefully 5 to have a little bit of celebration out in the Bronx. But I think the Yankees really have I flip-flop my choice the last few days and few nights, everything else. But I think the Yankees are going to pull this off. I really do. It's time. A lot of teams don't win one forever. And so I'm not that Yankee guy saying we should win one every 5 years. That's just not how this works. Yeah. But I think that this team's been put together. Cashman, as much as we want to belittle him and not say very nice things about him, he's put together a very good squad once again. And I think that it'll be ruckus. It'll be crazy at Dodger Stadium as well. But it's playoff time in the Bronx, and we've seen it before. And these crowds get going a little bit. And I think the Yankees are going to pull this one off. I really do. MVP. Quick.
I got to go Soto just with what he's done. He's going to figure something out.
I'll go with a wild card here. Luke Weaver.
Oh,
a little bit of
he gets 4 saves. It's
a little bit of John Wetland action there back in '96 kind of situation, right? So
I'm thinking.
I'll go back to how we started tonight. Stanton does it, gets to the World Series, and he ends up in Monument Park in 6 years. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe.
You throw enough crap in the wall, something bound to stick, right? Like, I told you guys it's recorded here. I told you.
Yeah.
I still remember 2019 Stanton when he was hitting over 300 and hit all those bombs. I witnessed one in 2019. I went to a Yankee game with my nephew. It was a great time.
It's because you were saying Brett Gardner. My wife is still mad at the way the Yankees handled the exodus of Brett Gardner, how they didn't really do anything for him. He was such a great Yankee for a long time, and so she's a little upset. She's cheering for the Yankees this week, but if they were playing the Blue Jays this week or in the American League, she would, because she's actually originally from Toronto. She wouldn't have. She's not a Yankee fan for some nights. Boys, we'll get off of baseball. I don't want to keep you any longer because you guys have been gracious guests. Thank you very much. But I really want to hear what your thoughts are on the New York Jets.
I'll just mute myself for this.
I said a lot of what I needed to say on Tuesday's program. If you missed my extended rant, it went on for a good 10-15 minutes about how I'm done with this team. I had so much hope coming into this season. We both said the Jets would go to the Super Bowl. I said they would win the Super Bowl. Now I'm starting to feel stupid. They're starting to make me feel stupid for investing time and money in gear and tickets, going to see them play live and watching them play live and doing podcasts for them. I'm starting to feel foolish, and I've reached my boiling point. I've reached my breaking point with this team. And if they don't figure it out quick, it's going to be another 7. It's going to be another 7-10 season if they're lucky. So that's all I got to say about them.
That's tough. That's tough, and it reminds me. This story. I'm
always. Sorry, guys. I had to. I watched your show. I had to. I had to.
It's okay.
This story always reminds me, Ryan, our good friend Scott. We know him. We love him. He's another long-suffering Jets fan with you. And there's a couple memories that I always have with Scott. They when they had their daughter, I said, Scott, are you going to have her watching Jets games? And he goes, oh, I can't do it to her. I'm not going to do it to her. And then some poor innocent bystander from the Jets ticket office called like during one of the seasons that went really south. And they're like, oh, they're talking to him, and they're like, we noticed you haven't been down in a while to watch a game. We'd like to offer you, a nice deal to come out some games. And he was so frustrated. He goes, you know what? How about when you put a better product on the field, I'll come to a game. And he hung up.
It's crazy. You look back and you go, well, Aaron Rodgers, and then you go, oh, Aaron Rodgers. Oh yeah. It's just how it's all played. I'm sorry, guys. It was supposed to be a positive, fun night and everything else, and we'll get off of that. But no, thank you very much, guys, for coming on the show. It's greatly appreciated. A lot of fun talking, reminiscing about some old Yankee teams, and then talking about what might be to come in the. Could be like in 8-9 days from now. Who knows? Yankees might be the 28-time world champions. I hope it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be nerve-wracking. I'm sure I'm going to probably swear once or twice down here, but might all be worth in a few weeks. Guys, tell us where we can hear all your stuff and what you got going on. And I watch you guys every Saturday morning. It's just part of my routine.
Thank you very much.
So
thank you.
It's always good for a laugh. You start talking about how great the Jets are. I'm kidding.
Oh man!
Invite me on, and I'm gonna just
knife it a little bit, just because.
Well, you can catch us Tuesday nights at 7:05 Eastern on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ. It's also on Facebook and on Twitter on our No Creds REQ pages. We're available the next day on any podcast platform. We're moving our Saturday shows to Friday for the next 2 weeks because Dustin's got some extra special stuff going on. He's got a fundraiser this week. He's got another fundraiser coming up next week where he's going to play video games for 24-hour consecutive hours.
Attempt. He's
going to attempt to do it, but it's in order to raise money for.
You're not going to do that when you turn 50. Trust me, man.
But this is the 7th year in a row he's done this, so I give my kudos to him. He's helping raise money with an organization called extralife.org, Extra Life for Kids, and it's to benefit one of the local children's hospitals who does great work.
Very nice,
helping kids with all sorts of different diseases. So we're rooting for him. We're rooting for the kids, and he wants to do all that he can to help out his local neighborhood children's hospital. So he's doing that. So the next couple of weeks, our Saturday morning show will move to Friday night. It'll be a no credentials required happy hours back. So at 8:30 Eastern, on Friday. Next 2 Fridays we'll be on, but we'll be back on our usual Saturday slate in a couple weeks. But so you can catch us live then or on your preferred podcast platform. We've got Victory Mondays on hold right now because the Jets suck. But I just launched the 3 Rails Metro Hockey podcast where myself, Daniel Smooth, and Brian Germanaro, a couple other belly up guys who we all love their respective New York Metro teams, the Devils. I'm a Devils fan. Got Daniel Smooth as an Islanders fan. Brian's a Rangers fan. We talk Metro New York hockey, and we're having fun doing it. Last week was our first episode. We're gonna keep it going to the rest of the season. We hope to tune in.
No, it was really. I listened to that. Like when I saw when get up to go to work, and I saw on the Twitter machine there that you guys had that going. Hey, this is a good idea, and I gave that a listing. It was really good. It was really informative. I quite like that.
Thank you.
The Rangers are good. I think the Rangers actually have a shot. They'll blow it, but I think they actually have a shot.
Oh, of course they will.
Yeah. And then the Islanders are going to Islander, but it's just like it's crazy. And it's NHL might be one of the hardest things to win. Like the Stanley Cup, like it's tough. Like you got to have every sport's really hard to win. But
forgot one more thing.
Oh yeah.
Also, it's not really to no credentials required, but I do a show on Fridays at 5 Eastern called Total Football Talk Extra, with our buddy Drew Willingham. We're talking about the Canadian Football League. So we're going to talk about it this week. It'll be on No Creds REQ stream, YouTube. It'll be on my personal Twitter profile, which is at WhoIsRyanMCC. Talk all things Canadian football. We're going to talk through at the end of the season. It's a fun show. So if you're a Canadian Football League fan, come join us.
It's a bit of a hidden gem even up here in Canada. Like a lot of people just don't realize how good that league actually is. And it's a lot of fun to watch. Now it's getting into the leaves are falling season around here, and people really catch on to it now. Like it runs in summer months, which I think we'll quickly get off here. The summer months is tough for football because people have other things going on. And so that's where the CFL kind of blows a little bit, in my opinion. But you can't really go up against the NFL and the CFL or the college football. But on the other hand, people watching the CFL aren't watching the others. So it's a real fine line there how the CFL is going to find a way to market that a little bit better. And we'll make you the commissioner of the CFL as long as well as Major League Baseball too. You got nothing but time by the sounds of it.
I got ideas.
Yeah. Well, and I always joke with them because I'm like, you got more podcasts going. I said the other day on the show, I said I feel like a schlub because I'm only doing 2.
Yeah, it gets a little bit hectic. It's a lot of fun, guys. Thanks very much for joining us, and that was a lot of fun. And we'll maybe talk before the series is over and see how things are going. And thanks for joining me. Like I said, it was a lot of fun and. I could talk the Yankees baseball for 24 hours and play video games. In one of those. That was good. The 1420 Sports Bar podcast, 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more. Keep your stick in the ice and don't swing at high pitches. And remember, everybody, smart people bunt. Have a good night, folks, and go Yankees.
Go Yankees.
Go Yanks.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.